Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're going to be going over a Ferrari 458. But first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to Chandler, who's the owner of this car. And I want you guys to all go and subscribe to his channel right now. Not only does he have an awesome channel where he shares all of his cool cars, he's got the Ferrari, the Corvette's not here right now, but he also has a C8 Corvette, he's got this really cool Tesla, and then he has the Raptor as well. So he shares all of these vehicles on his channel, but not only that, he actually gives you all the advice and know-how on how you can also achieve what he has attained so far with real estate, and then obviously also on the vehicle side. So again, go subscribe to his channel right now, but let's just get right into the video. Under the hood of the 458, we have a naturally aspirated 4.5 liter flat plane crank V8 that goes through a 7-speed dual clutch automatic transmission. Now, power outputs are 570 horsepower and then 398 pound-feet of torque. There's a couple more things I wanted to go over under here. So first off, it's really cool to see the 458 Spider badge right there. And a lot of you might be wondering, why is there only like half of the engine exposed when you have this opened up? This is the Spider, so you have like all of the convertible top mechanism stuff happening here. And so a lot of that kind of covers over on the engine, so that's why you can't see as much. But this deck lid right here, it is extremely light. Like, it's really crazy just how light that is. And enjoy the engine. Now let's go over the front end of the 458. First and foremost, I absolutely love the lights on the 458. The LED accent lights that come down, and then also you've got the turn signal lights that are just right next to it, just look absolutely fantastic. And it's just cool, the projector bulb at the end. But this is just like a signature look for Ferrari, and it's absolutely beautiful with just the detail and the design. I love the little venting right next to the light as well. And it's cool, these haunches here on the side, you guys will kind of see when we get inside, they really pop out and they're really prominent from what you can see from the driver perspective. And then it's cool to see the blacked out Ferrari logo there at the bottom. And then yes, you actually do get parking sensors here along the front. Yes, we'll go into the front trunk in just a moment, but overall, this design on the 458 is absolutely timeless, and still to this day, it looks modern and sleek, and it's just so, so beautiful. Now, going over the front trunk here in the 458, it is absolutely massive, especially for a supercar like this. Like, it's crazy to see how big this is. You could easily fit a person in here, and I don't just mean like a kid. Like, you could fit a full-grown adult in here. It'd be pretty cramped, but that's why they've got this little latch here if someone does stuff someone in the front of a Ferrari 458 so they can get out. But yeah, it's just crazy to see how big that trunk is. Like, it makes this car super practical. Coming to the side here, we've got two 55mm tires and 20-inch wheels on the side, and then the back is three 15mm tires, again 20-inch wheels, so a lot wider there in the back. Look at the front rotors on this car. Remember, 20-inch wheels, and the rotor is almost filling up the entire wheel. I love the signature Ferrari red brake caliper, and it's no wonder that they have watches that have the face that look like this wheel and brake setup, because it looks absolutely fantastic, especially with the rest of the car. Really cool to see the yellow Ferrari logo there on the side as well. And then here for the rest of the side of the 458, it's just really clean. There's just a couple really sleek body lines that go over the whole car, and just overall it just looks so beautiful. Let's go over the rear of the 458. So first and foremost, you've got these signature circular LED lights, which look absolutely fantastic, especially at night. Here in the daytime, they don't look too crazy, but at night when you just see all the circular dots, looks really good. I love the metal grating here. It's on a lot of supercars. You guys see it on McLaren's all the time, and it just looks really cool. The diffuser back here is absolutely massive. And then I believe this is the frequency intelligence exhaust you can get for the 458. It's super loud. Like, this is crazy loud. You guys will hear it in just a little bit. And then you get another blacked out Ferrari logo there at the back. But yeah, overall, the back end of this car is just as beautiful as the front. Now here is the door panel for the 458, and it's really nice from a material standpoint. So everything is covered in leather, and you can see you've got the red contrasted stitching, which goes really nice with the overall blacked out theme of this car. Pretty interesting door handle. It's like one of the pull-up door handles, which just a little bit different. But yeah, the entire door is covered in leather. But I mean, what else could you expect from Ferrari? Actually popping into the interior of the 458, you can see the seats have the blacked out Ferrari horse there at the top, which is really cool. The stitching on the interior almost looks more orange than red. But I love the bolsters. So they actually are on the wide side, but they still hold you in place really well. But if you are a bigger person, you could still fit in these seats very comfortably. I love all the rivets throughout the seats as well. Pretty cool from a design standpoint. And then the bottom of the seat just continues that whole theme. Regular adjustments on the seat, even though it's a Ferrari, all the adjustments are the same. This is actually just to release the hatch in the rear so you can look at the engine. And then you guys can see the pedal layout there at the bottom. Obviously they're using nice materials with that. And then notice here, again, they continue the leather and the stitching all around. And all the controls here actually feel pretty nice, which obviously, again, you're gonna expect that from Ferrari. I love the carbon fiber shift paddles there on the back of the steering wheel. But other than that, there's one more look before we pop in. Now here's the steering wheel of the 458. So you get carbon fiber at the top and at the bottom of the steering wheel. And then yes, you do get the shift light indicator there as well. And then you do have leather on either side of the steering wheel. We're actually going to grab and you can see the continuation of that stitching. But all of your controls are actually on the steering wheel. So you can see this is the little button for the horn if you want to honk at someone. You got your little turn signal indicator right here as well. You've got this for the windshield wipers. And then you can see over here for the different drive modes. Your engine stop start button. This is for the suspension to adjust that, and then your little light controls, turn signal. Again, like everything is on the steering wheel. And again, you've got the giant carbon fiber paddle shifters there just behind the steering wheel. And if you are wondering, they are connected to the steering column and not the wheel. So when you turn the wheel, the paddle shifters do not move with the wheel. Here's the center gauge cluster for the 458, and it looks absolutely fantastic. I love it. So you can see you've got the RPMs right there in the center, which you can see the red line goes all the way up to 9,000. Absolutely insane. But the other cool thing is over here, not the speed, but it has to pertain to the drive modes. So you've got the little drive mode select, and you can see right there in the corner, it's probably hard to see just because of the screen resolution, but it says wet, and then you go to the sport, and then the race, and then you have the CT off, and then you have the ESC off. And then that suspension button, let's say that you're in the race mode, you press this, it's for the bumpy road mode on the suspension, so you can still have the transmission and engine in the sportier setting, but you can have the suspension as something that's going to be a little bit more comfortable with a bumpier road. So now you guys are probably wondering what these controls are for. It's actually for the other screen here on the side with the 458. So there's a couple different menus you can go through. This doesn't have like a center infotainment system. It just has these different screens that you basically have on the center stack. So the other screen right was for the drive modes and the speed, and then the middle screen for the RPMs, and then this is just for stuff like the radio. It's not the easiest to use, but chances are if you're driving this car, these buttons are never going to be used. Here's a quick look at what this whole area looks like with the dash and everything. Got your regular climate controls down here, but this is the more exciting section. So you've got reverse, which is not too crazy or anything like that. You've got your automatic, and then this is actually the launch control button. And you guys are probably wondering, well, how do you actually get into drive? And you just press the paddle, and that'll put you into drive. And then if you want to get into neutral with the car, you actually press both the paddles, which obviously I'm holding the camera with one hand, so I can't do that. But you press both paddles simultaneously. That'll put it into neutral. And then when you do want to park it, then you've got that little parking brake you guys saw earlier, and you pull that on. So you put the car neutral, pull the parking brake on, and that's actually how you park the 458. It's kind of like a manual transmission car. Window controls here in the center, just like a Jeep Wrangler. Actually, I shouldn't be comparing these cars, but just saying. This is the window for the back. So this actually opens up this little window right here. So you get a direct like contact with the engine. So you can hear tons of engine noise. And then this is actually for the convertible top. And then the last thing I want to mention again with the dash, just really nice with the material use, all of that. And let's get to the top portion. Ooh. So this is what the top looks like from the interior as like a passenger. Look at that Alcantara there in the top of the roof. So this is what you'd see if you were a passenger with the 458. And then it tells me roof open. And then here is a quick walk around of what the 458 looks like with the top down. Looks absolutely incredible. Like this car as a coupe looks fantastic, but as a spider, I think it looks even better. It's just really cool. The two haunches right there, just kind of seeing those floating, and just the overall look of the car with the top down is absolutely crazy. I just love this car. It's a crazy car, definitely a dream car, but it's so cool to see it here in the Spider form. Yeah, hopefully you guys appreciate this as much as I do, because I get to stare at this car all day. Now, I'm sure at this point you guys are probably wondering how much these 458s are going for, and the price varies quite a bit. So if you actually get a regular 458 coupe, they can be as low as like $140,000 right now, but they can be as high as over $200,000. And then if you go for like the Speciale, those ones are way out of there, so we're not really gonna talk about those. And then in terms of these Spiders, it seems like they're just a little bit more on average. So like they're in the 150 to 180 to 200 to a little bit over 200 depending on mileage and all that. So if you're looking at getting a 458, you got to have some cash, and that's why you should subscribe to Chandler, so you guys can learn how to earn the revenue to get a cool car like this. Let's quickly talk about visibility before we set off here in the 458. So you guys can see visibility of the hood is really good. And this is what I was talking about with the haunches. You can see outside of either side of the hood. It's kind of more prominent on the driver's side. We can kind of see it more, but it just looks really cool. There's your visibility through both of the mirrors, and I love the look of the mirrors as well. They're very beautiful. And then here's your visibility throughout the rear, which I'm actually pretty surprised. I was expecting there to be like no visibility throughout the rear, but you can actually see. And that all being said, let's set off. So we are setting off here in the 458, and I can tell you right now, this car is a little bit intimidating to drive because it's just such an analog experience. Yes, it has an automatic transmission. Yes, this is a relatively new car. It's a 2013, but at the same time, it's a little bit jerky at low speeds, which isn't bad or anything like that, but it's a little bit jerky at low speeds, and you can just feel that this has such a crazy amount of power. Doesn't help that it rained today, but yeah, it's a little bit intimidating to drive, but it's definitely more of like an analog, visceral feel with the driving experience, which it makes it super exciting. Even in the automatic mode right now, it's really fun. But other than that, let's actually pop it over into the manual mode. So you just press that auto button I showed you guys earlier in today's video, and we'll kind of see how the gear shifts are. Yeah, they're really quick. I just drove the C8 Corvette right before this, and it almost feels like these are a little bit slower than the C8. I might be crazy, maybe the transmission needs to warm up a little bit more, but it almost seems like these gear shifts are just a little bit slower than that C8 Corvette. And the other thing is, this is actually pretty smooth, right? This is supposed to be kind of like a crazy race car almost, but it's actually relatively smooth. Now, we're gonna have to be really careful for this acceleration because this car can get a little fishtaily, but we'll kind of get into the throttle a little bit. That is insane. Like, just the power that you get, and even going partial throttle, it just pulls so much. I've never experienced anything like that before. I actually just drove a GTR a couple weeks ago, and that's supposed to be a crazy fast car, and this just feels like it's on a whole nother level. Yeah, this is just on a completely different level from an acceleration standpoint. Hope you guys enjoyed the sound of that naturally aspirated 4.5 liter V8. The one thing that I am noticing is this car kind of tracks all over the place a little bit. The steering is really sharp and it's super precise, but I've noticed that the car just kind of wants to go all over the place on the road to an extent, which isn't bad or anything like that, but definitely takes a second to get used to. Now we're kind of going over a couple of corners so I can talk about the handling a little bit more with the car. So from a handling perspective, like I said, super sharp. This car's really precise with where you go. Like, you barely have to put any steering input and it just goes. Like, you can see this corner right here, I'm barely turning the wheel and it just like goes right around. So it's really good. The steering's not super heavy or anything like that either. It's like the perfect amount of weighted feeling that you get through the steering wheel. And we'll get one more acceleration here before we sum things up for today's video. Yeah, that sound is absolutely amazing with that V8, but I know that this car is still pretty expensive, right? But I think the reason these cars are holding their value so well is that analog feel that you get, the sound that you get out of the engine as well, and just how exciting and thrilling this car is to drive. I'm not used to driving something like this, so it's kind of a little bit of a different experience for me. But yeah, I can just see this car's a complete package. It's just unlike anything else there on the market right now. That is going to sum things up for our video on the Ferrari 458. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to Chandler for providing me with his car for today's review. And again, just go subscribe to him. And he actually has a course right now where he teaches you how to earn $100,000 a year off of real estate, which, I mean, if this car is about $150,000 to $200,000, then within, you know, a year and a half to 2 years, you could buy one of these cash if you go buy his course. So go check that out, and I'll see you guys in the next video.